My guest today is Andy Yoder. He's a Ramsey Preferred Financial Coach, and he's got a great story about how he went through this debt free journey. Andy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute joy.
I see what you did there. So, I'd love for you to start by sharing just a little bit about your ministry and coaching background and also your financial testimony as well.
Yeah, I would be honored to. So, I spent years in youth ministry, and then I spent a little bit of time as an associate pastor. It was an absolute wonderful time. And in the time where I was transitioning out of ministry, my wife and I came to the realization that we weren't great with our finances.
What?
Yeah. And that's where I love going out to eat. Is there anybody else on the call that likes to go out to eat?
It's an amen.
Yeah, that was me. I would always ask my wife, I'd be like, "Hey, honey, do we got money in the account to go out to eat?" She'd be like, "Sure, absolutely." Because we were, at that time, relatively recently married. It was like 5 years into marriage, and she would always feel bad to say no.
Mm,
And we did have money in our account. Yes, we did. But we weren't paying attention to it because we were using a credit card. So it looked like we had money in our account, but we really didn't because the money was being used up to pay for the credit card.
right.
So then we would get the bill in the mail. I remember it was like yesterday. It would literally take me days to open it. I was that nervous and scared about it. And it was so frightening. I get like a turning point for us, like for her and I, we were like, you know what? We want to pay it off every month. And there was times where we couldn't. We're like, oh no, what are we going to do? And that's where it caused so much stress and anxiety, on our marriage. It affected our relationship with God, affected our relationship with our really young kids. They were really young at that time. It was like maybe like a year old, 2 years old. And that's where I had somebody share with me, and I'm so glad for blunt people in my life that just love me and are direct. This woman, she shared with me as a friend of ours. She said, "Andy, have you ever heard of Dave Ramsey?" I said, "I have, yes." She's like, "We're going to let you borrow this book called The Total Money Makeover." And I don't even remember what precipitated her asking me that question, but obviously something came up for me to share that I was giving the inkling that I needed to talk to Dave Ramsey. So she's like, "Okay, I'm going to let you borrow this book called The Total Money Makeover." And after she had left, I said to my wife, I said, "Annette, is our situation that bad?" You know what she did? She responded back to me. She says, "Andy, we need to read the book."
To talk about it.
Yes. And I don't know why, but I shouldn't say I don't know why. I know why. It's pride. Pride was stuffing it for me and be like, "No, we're fine. We're all good in this." But I really wasn't scared. And that's where we started reading the book together. And what do you do to read a book together with young kids? Well, I would be driving in the car, she'd be in the passenger seat reading the book to the two of us. That's how we got through the Total Money Makeover. And I'm like, oh, this Steve Ramsey guy makes a lot of sense. So we started implementing the baby steps. And it was doing the baby steps and doing the budgets where it's changed every single area of our lives. And that's where I see that it's like absolutely generationally life-changing for our kids, for my wife and I, like things that we can be passing on to the next generation. So it's so exciting to see how it's impacted my relationship with my wife, my relationship with kids, my relationship with God. So it was awesome. So that's a little bit of my story, Joy.
Yeah. So, what's different now compared to how long ago was it that you guys read the book the first time? Do you know?
2016, 2017, somewhere in that neighborhood.
I was going to say
Like,
that's about, I think I read it in 2017, so about the same time. So, what is different in your guys' lives financially now? What's differentially from say 10 years ago?
well, we're not stressed about money any longer.
Mm.
We were so stressed about money. Like, oh no. Like, remember how I shared like the squints? Like, that was a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but now I'm like, oh no, we have money in our account. We can pay for that. We are setting money aside for car maintenance. A little while ago, my wife had a tire blowout. I'm like, oh, well, it stinks. And for me, then I can look in my maintenance budget and see, oh, yeah, I have money set aside for it.
Right.
And
Take care of
that's
it.
peace.
Yeah. And even when those things do come up that are maybe even bigger than what your plan is, you have a path to get there. Okay, so, we
Exactly.
can't do this. We'll figure out, we know how to figure it out.
And it's not like guessing,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, how big is my credit card bill going to be?
Right.
We don't use credit cards, but it's like I can look at my budget and see, okay, this is how much I spent
Right.
because I'm keeping a very close eye on it.
Yeah, there is something you just mentioned that I haven't used credit cards since 2017, and it does create less logistics when it comes to managing your money because I
Oh,
don't have
totally.
because I can see right up front this is what I've spent, and I'm not waiting for some bill to catch me later. So, Andy, you spent years in youth ministry and then also as an associate pastor.
Mhm.
And you told me when we spoke before how parents would keep coming to you asking, like, why is my kid walking away from the faith? And that led to this passion for helping parents pass on their faith to the next generation. About
Mhm.
that journey and how it connects to what you're doing now with financial coaching.
Oh, yes. Like that was something that really that God awoken in my heart big time. You know, parent like Joy just mentioned, just oh, my kids are walking away from the faith. Andy, what are you going to do about it? What's the church going to do about it? Just helping them think through, okay, what rhythms, what things can you be setting up in the home? You're the primary spiritual caregiver, and how can the church come lock arms with you and walk with you side by side in it?
Mm-hmm.
And helping them in that, that's just something that's awoke and never has gone away. And where I see that in my coaching is I want to be able to help individuals and couples have that same type of generational life change, but more specifically around finances.
Mm-hmm.
And the faith and finances are very integrally
They are.
interwoven. And because when I first started coaching, so many people, and I mean, still to this day, they're saying, Andy, my parents, they raised me in this way around money. And like I see, like I'm handling money in a very similar way to my parents. There's a few people are like, I saw that and I'm flipping the other direction. I had one person share with me, he said, you know, my grandfather handled money in this way, my dad handled money in this way, and now I am, and now I'm watching it in my 20-year-old daughter. And he's like, this has to change.
Mm-hmm.
I need to work on this change. He nicknamed me, but budgeting for change, I think was his nickname. It was very random and funny. I love helping people in generational life change, seeing how God awoke that in me in ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm doing right now is very much ministry minded as well. Does
As
that
you're
help answer your question, Joy?
Yeah, I think so. As you were sharing, I was thinking about right before this, I had a call with a group that I lead, and one of the gals was sharing how she had seen this generational stuff in her family. And when she's having a hard day, it can feel like nothing's changing, but that she can look back and go, no, I went and took a class. No, I've been working with a coach. No, I joined a support group to have accountability around this, right? And what I've heard from her story is that her 20-year-old has more in her savings account than she does. Mom's still
Wow.
putting she was having to like make a stop on a medical road trip for food for the kids or something, and one of her kids chose the healthier and more cost-effective food option when given a choice, and she was like, wow, like there's change happening in my family, right? And even though it can feel like really hard when she's in the middle of it, those changes have an impact even now. That
Oh,
impact doesn't
absolutely.
start when she's completely debt free. They're watching mama make those changes now.
I have a very quick story about that.
Go for it.
So I had someone that I was coaching very passionate about generational life change. She was in her mid to late 50s at that time. And she said to me, Andy, I feel like it's too late for my kids. They're already grown, early to mid 20s. And so we started working on her budget and understanding, okay, this is where the money is going. She was working on change in that. And she was sharing with her kids, like, hey, I'm so excited about this. Very long story short, her testimony, her life, her son came to her and said, Mom, did you know my Alfa Romeo car payment's $700 a month? I have a paid for Mini. I'm going to get rid of the Alpha.
Wow.
And weirdly, around the same time, her daughter would have been in her early 20s at the time, said, hey, Mom, I noticed that you took on a side hustle. She was working at a clothing store to bring in some extra money on the weekends. So she said, Mom, I noticed you doing this, and I'm working at a ballroom waitressing as a side hustle to be able to throw up my debt. And my client was like, Andy, I thought it was too late, but they're watching. And that was it's the power of a testimony.
It
It's the
is.
power of a changed life.
It is. Sometimes somebody will watch that for a few months, sometimes somebody will watch it for years, but when they're ready to make a change, they'll know, hey, whatever Andy's doing, it's working. I want some of that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
uh, so tell us about how money habits get passed down generationally. What are some of the patterns that you see repeating?
Oh, okay. In talking with a person, she said, my dad worked for the government. He made six figures, and that would have been 30 years ago. You know, a six-figure income, especially 30 years ago, is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, he always spent more than he made.
Mm,
And she's like, I've seen that in my life and how that's affected her thought process around handling money. And like, can I make a change in this? Working through some of those doubts.
mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's something that I see regularly where those traits get passed on from one generation to another.
Uh,
What can I speak into that, Joy?
what are some of those ones that you see commonly?
Here's another example. I had someone share with me, Andy, my dad wasn't around very often because he traveled a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Not because he was being delinquent, but just because of work.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, when he got home, everybody better toe the line. And so, how that has affected her handling money is she's like, Andy, like, my parents really never talked about money.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. Because I was trying to get like the correlation because
Right.
she shared with me, she's like, Andy, like, I just get anxiety. Like, I'll like grab onto my neck and like claw at my neck, like, oh, I'm really nervous about opening up the budget. And when we were talking it through, we found that she was really nervous because basically her dad was saying in her mind, she would be looking at the budget and seeing lines go over the amount she was desiring to spend. But then she would say, like, her dad would be like, yelling at her in her mind, like, you're a failure. You're not doing this right. Even though it wasn't directly talking about it, it's just helping her to see and realize, oh, okay, forgiving my dad
Hmm.
and letting go of that.
Right.
He doesn't need to have a hold on my life any longer.
What about like how your family deals with stress and things like that? Like what comes to mind is, so you know, you've probably had this. I was talking to somebody yesterday and she she was stressed, so she went shopping, right? She's excited, she goes shopping. It's just kind of the salve, right? Or also kind of the all or nothing. If I can't meet the budget anyway, so I'm just gonna go do whatever.
Yeah.
And then of course later you're like, you have that rock sitting in your stomach of what did I do? But have you seen like those kinds of things with passed on based on like how somebody was raised and how their family dealt with different things?
Yes, absolutely. So, like, I have one person in particular. She's like, Andy, when I'm lonely, I just hop on Amazon and then I start scrolling. Is like the endorphin rush of that. Oh, okay. Yes, I'm getting a package. It helps cover up the loneliness. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's still like a God-shaped hole that
Right.
only was filled for just a very short time.
Mm-hmm.
And really helping that person to dive into, okay, what's causing the loneliness?
Right.
And this is a person of faith. So I asked her some of these questions, and she said, well, got to it. She's like, Andy, I'm attending two churches. I'm like, oh, interesting. So how involved are you in either one? Ooh, not really. Oh, is the Lord leading you to go to one of those? Yeah. I was like, okay, so when are you going to make a decision for this one church? And she's like, I can make it today. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Praise God.
Yeah. I think there's something important that you just touched on there is that a lot of times money touches everything. And the way that we're dealing with money, if it's having to do with how we're meeting or trying to meet some other need, if we don't go back and address that need, we may fix the spending problem, but we're just going to have a problem somewhere else.
Yeah,
Maybe it's not this, it's going to be some other issue if you don't go solve the root cause. I have a friend who's taking a social media break right now, and she works from home and she has young kids, and so social media is kind of what she does to reach out to people for connection, except that scrolling we know is not really connection. So she made a good choice about taking the break, but what we talked about is, okay, then how are you going to have make sure that you are intentionally having that connection with actual humans? Who are you going to pick up the phone and call, right? Or who are you going to send a text to or something? Because if you just leave a hole there, either you're going to go back to the thing or you're going to go to something
exactly.
else. All of us, we have a God-sized hole, and we also have holes that God created because we're kind of part of a puzzle. We're not supposed to
Mm,
be just a piece out sitting here on our own. And so if we don't, if we're not plugged in with a good community, if we don't have healthy friendships in our lives, some of these other things, then it's going to show up in our finances, it's going to show up in our physical health, it's going to show up, relationally with our families.
yeah. Like, just serving pastors as well around finances, the feeling of loneliness,
Mm-hmm.
the feeling of, I don't want to let on that I'm having money troubles.
Yeah, I think that's really common with pastors and with people in any kind of leadership role. Back to that
Mm-hmm.
feeling we don't talk about money. We hear that one a lot. It can feel like as a leader sometimes like you're not supposed to have any struggles, or you're supposed to
Yeah,
have them, but they have to be kind of tucked over here in the corner. Uh, and, because it'll affect how you lead. And sometimes the thing I'm struggling with, it's not necessarily something that needs to be blasted all over the internet, but I need to have a place where I can talk to somebody about it.
yes, have a trusted space to be able to talk through it and process it,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how you're going to lead and lead well, for God's honor and glory.
Yeah. Let's talk about our kids and our youth in the church for a bit because this is something, it's a really relevant issue for pastors and also for the people in our congregations too. What are some of those really healthy mindsets around money and attitudes around money that we would love to see passed down to those kids?
Oh, great question. So, like, think about financial literacy. How I was telling you about that person, like, dad was very like a drill sergeant. When he came home, he's like, all right, you guys got to toe the line here. But she's like, he never talked about money at all. So, what does financial literacy look like?
Mm-hmm.
And how can you bring it up in the daily rhythms of life?
Mm.
So, an example here. So, my daughter, we get a weekly free classified ad in the mail.
Mm.
We all know those, right? And she's looking and says, Daddy, why is there a Ford pickup truck that says like 550 a month? I was like, oh, okay, I see a teachable moment here. So we looked, I said, okay, that's what a person's going to finance per month. So I was helping her to see, okay, what's this truck brand new? How much would this person pay if they paid the interest on this truck over 60 months, over 72 months? And it was, I forget exactly how much more it was, but it was a substantial amount more.
Mm-hmm.
We figured it out. I helped her figure it out. And she's 11 at this time. So I said to her, okay, let's look. What's a Ford pickup truck worth? Like a 5-year-old pickup truck. And I showed her, I was like, okay, you see how it's like $60,000 and this one for a 5-year-old one's like $30,000. I don't remember exactly, but that's rough
Mm-hmm.
speak. And I said, okay, this person's going to pay out this much over these 5 years, but then it's only worth this much. She's like, oh, why would we do that? And so just helping her to think about, okay, what's something simple like
Mm-hmm.
that? Or even like, okay, how can we be talking about giving?
Mm-hmm.
How can we be talking about saving and spending and having fun spending money? So thinking about that too, and how can we be introducing that to our children? So like something else that I do with our kids is like, okay, so you make this much, but this much we're setting aside for giving.
Right.
We're setting aside for saving. That this is your portion to be able to spend and really giving the why behind it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
your story just cracked me up because last year I spoke for a youth group and I had middle schoolers and high schoolers there. And one of the students asked, so what's the difference between a debit card and a credit card? And it was like, again, like an 11-year-old. And I explained the difference. And all the parents are sitting in the back of the room. Like they heard that somebody was teaching them on finances. So they all showed up too. But they let the kids ask questions first. And I answered the question and she's like, well, why would anybody do that? It was like great from the mouths of babes, right? Some wisdom there. They don't have all this, but even things like, you know, again, age appropriate ways talking about why we're doing what we're doing.
Oh, I have a story about that
Oh,
if you
let's
would
hear
like me
it.
to share. I have a couple, they're ministry minded, they love the Lord, they're awesome. From January to now, the end of September, they've paid off 65 grand in debt.
Wow, love it.
It's just awesome to see. They are very passionate about where they're going. So their dreams and what really lights a fire in them, what God's leading them towards. One of those things is, hey, we have 4 children. We want to be in a different house.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a vision board put up. They shared it with all their kids. So their kids are ages 12 down the line, like two-ish. They shared it with their kids. And they were sharing with them, hey, if we let's talk about gifts for birthdays and Christmas. If we do what we have been doing, it's going to push off getting the house by this number of months. And the older ones, particularly like mom and dad, I mean, you don't really need to buy us anything. We'd be more excited for our own rooms because they got the dreams that their parents are working towards and they understood it and the parents included them in that, which is really neat to see.
Yep.
Now, like to even take it a step further, they did a fall fair recently and they said to the kids, "Hey, we're going to purchase admission for you and we're going to pay for the parking. But if you want other things like the glow bracelets or whatever things
Mhm.
that happen at a fair, that's on you guys. That's it from your allowance." And they said that that was such a shift for them. They're like, okay, that's fine. But it was such a shift for the kids, like, oh, I guess, no, we don't really need that.
Yeah, you make different decisions when it's your money, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So how can you be, and that's where it's like, how can you be helping them to make that age
Mhm.
appropriate decision?
Yeah. Even, I remember a client bringing her like, and it was another one of, well, why would you do that? Questions, but what her bringing her daughter when they were car shopping and, having her daughter help make the choice within this is how much money we have to spend. And this is why we're not taking out a loan. And of course, the daughter's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? And just inviting them into, at whatever age appropriate level, into those conversations. You're out Christmas shopping. Okay, we have such this amount of money to spend on so and so's gift. Do you want to help me pick out the gifts? Right? And then the kids having to go, oh, well, if I get this big thing, then I'm not getting these three little things over there. It's an intentional decision. One thing that you've mentioned is that parents can't pass these things on if they don't have them themselves. So, what are some things that maybe parents are missing that they need in order to pass on that financial literacy to their kids?
Okay. Well, let's put it in light of faith first. So, what do you typically see in parents that pass down faith to the next generation where it's like it's a real and vibrant faith?
Mm-hmm.
It's that it's real in the parent's life.
Right.
The kids are seeing, okay, mom and dad definitely aren't perfect. They apologize to me quite regularly. Like, oops, I messed up here, but that they're living it,
Mm-hmm.
that they're making gathering together with other believers a priority.
Right.
They're making their relationship with God a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, okay, if to pass down faith finances, so to speak, I guess, not that's not a good word for it, but you get my drift. You pass that on to the next generation. Okay, well, how are you living it?
Mm-hmm.
Are you just um spending more than you're making? Or are you like, okay, I am here. It's a little nerve-wracking to lean into this, but I'm tracking my transactions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing where my money is going. I'm handling it well. The kids notice that. Just like
Right.
that client that I was telling you, like, hey, it feels like it's too late for, but it's that the parents or the kids notice that.
Yeah. They notice that you have conversations about money that aren't arguments.
Correct.
They notice, oh, there's a budget meeting.
They notice that.
They notice those things, and we don't always think, but kids pick up on stuff, and so it's just those. I feel like sometimes we feel like we have to, as leaders or as parents, we feel like we have to have all the things all together all at once. It's like, no, just take intentional steps and find a way to be open about what you're doing.
Correct. And that's where it does like, oh, I have to have it all together. But no, it's just one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
A mentor of mine said to me, Andy, the most important decisions are the small ones. And that's where you're making one small decision at a time. You might be like, well, Andy, I don't know where my money is going. Okay, let's start tracking it.
Right, start
Let's
there.
start seeing where it's going. It's one thing at a time.
Yeah. So, as somebody who's been in ministry and now doing financial coaching, what would you want ministry leaders to understand between faith formation and financial formation in their families?
Well, one is that you're not alone. I think that's a big thing. That it's very intricately intertwined and that it's one step at a time. You're like, well, Andy, I want to be more intentional about doing a family devotional. Okay. Well, then let just it's starting looking something up and starting it.
Right.
That's all. There's not shame in it. It's like it's okay, and that God loves us right where we're at,
Mhm.
with wide open arms,
Yeah.
and that okay, then just start. Or you might be like, oh, Andy, it feels like I'm starting, um, like doing a budget so much later in life. That's okay.
Mhm.
It's just you start.
Yeah. And that you
And
start with the same intentionality that you would teaching your kids how to pray at dinner time or these little habits that kind of form the foundations, right?
correct. And that's where it's like the little decisions are the small ones.
Mhm.
Hey, let's sit together over dinner.
Yeah.
That's just a little decision.
Yeah. I know a family, a pastor's family, that when they went through financial peace, their kids were all teens and young adults, and they had all their kids go through it with them. And then at that point, like, they didn't have to do a lot of the nitpicking stuff because they were all kind of on this journey together, you know? And so the parents are making these choices, but also their kids, who are all adults now, have been making these choices to be financially healthy. And I remember hearing from a couple of them last year that they were debt free. And I was like, they don't know what a gift their parents did of saying, yeah, you're coming to this class with us.
Yeah.
And so there's different, obviously at different ages, it's going to be different things, but just putting that same level of intentionality that we put on making sure our kids are in church and making sure that our kids are being discipled at home, but also being discipled by somebody who's not mom or dad, because both of those relationships are important. That same level of intentionality with our finances. I just go back to Matthew 6 and where your treasure is, there your heart will be, right? So
Be
whatever's happening with
also
our treasure is going to be a reflection.
correct. And it's like you're handling money. Well, that opens up the doors for the gospel to go forth.
It does.
And like that's a huge connection to say it's like, okay, the way that I'm handling not my money, but God's money is could be a direct result of somebody coming to know Jesus for the first time. So we do a giving tree at our church, and my kids love to be able to pick out two children because we have two boys and two girls. It's really neat to see that we're there at Old Navy,
Mm-hmm.
going through Old Navy at Christmas time. We give them each a budget. I have an older boy and an older girl. I give they're responsible. Okay, let's go through. This is how much you have to spend. And then they can curate, okay, this is what things we would like to get. Then we put our final stamp of approval on it and get it for them. But that helps them with finances, but it helps them with giving and seeing how giving is important. But if we as parents weren't walking the baby steps, chances are we wouldn't be freed up to be able to do something like that. These kids might be coming to know Jesus because of, hey, here's people that love us. Like we have no idea who we're giving to. It's all anonymous, but it's the fact that, wow, somebody loves us. Let's go check out this church. And that's a huge connection right there.
Yeah, we're able to practice a couple of those lessons all in one little bucket. They had to work within a budget. There was intentionality behind this. It's intentional generosity because your family has been obedient to God and that's put you in a place to be generous. Before we wrap up, I just got a couple of quick lightning round questions so our listeners can get to know you. The first one, if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, and there's no side effects of bad health.
I will say no
Shrimp,
side effects.
shrimp. I love shrimp.
Shrimp.
I'm a big seafood guy.
That's awesome. I love that. What's one money lesson you wish someone had taught you as a kid?
Oh, wow. Yeah, like cause and effect of money. Just like what I said, I love to go out to eat. Okay, let's go out to eat. And look what happened. Didn't turn out well.
You mean you swipe that card and later you have to pay for it?
Huh.
Are you a coffee or a tea person, and how do you take it?
Ooh, iced tea.
Are you a sweet tea, or are you just your basic plain black iced tea?
Good question. Like a lemonade iced tea.
Ah, okay. I always have trouble saying that. Arnold Palmer guy.
Yeah. You got it. You nailed it.
What's one word you would use to describe your passion for helping families with money?
Ooh, one word?
One word.
Empowering
Ooh, I like that. Uh,
or guiding. That's
mhm.
two, but we'll
So,
roll with it.
as we wrap up, then, what do you hope changes in the next generation when it comes to faith and finances?
Oh, wow. Just setting up like parents to be able to be the not only the primary spiritual caregiver, but the around the finances as well. Just really empowering them to have conversations like I had that couple that I was telling you about. No, we don't need those large gifts. Really helping parents to think through and so they're living it in their lives. That's the empowering, but then to give them the conversations and practicalness to be passing it on to the next generation.
I love it. Well, for our listeners, if you'd like to connect with Andy, I'll make sure to get his information into the show notes. Andy is an amazing financial coach, but coming from a ministry background can speak to some of those challenges that our ministry leaders go through all the time. If you are looking for personalized guidance in this journey, you're always welcome to reach out to me, but I would also encourage you to reach out to Andy. He loves pastors and ministry leaders and wants to be able to serve you. Andy, thank you so much for spending this time with us today.
Thank you. It was wonderful. I so appreciated it.